Hi, my name is Paul Coles. I was born in 1940, March 19th to be exact, and I grew up in Acton, Ontario. It's for Ernest and Margaret Coles, and I had 5 siblings. I had Hartley, Joan, Denise, Terry, myself, and Pat. I used to go to the flying club and watch them fly, sit on the bench. And I noticed that at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning there was always an instructor that drove up to the flying club. So I went up to see what he was doing. I didn't know who it was at the time, then I saw it was a chap named Sam Cowley who would take a plane up at 8 o'clock in the morning to check out the weather and see if it was okay for the students to fly. So one day he got the plane ready and he said, "Monk," now that was my nickname in Acton. He asked me if I wanted to go for a ride, and I said, "Sure." So he put me in the front seat of the plane, and the instructor always flies from the back seat. And he asked me to hold the brakes, and he went out and spun the prop, got the engine going. Had to do it by hand, there was no starters in those planes. And he got in the plane, and he says, "Okay, Monk, it's all yours." And I looked at him and I says, "I've never done this before." He says, "Well, darn it, it's about time you learn." Well, when it was smooth, I went up for about an hour. I played around with the smokestack that let smoke out. I was going through the smoke, around the smoke, and cutting through it. And then I thought, "Oh, it's getting dark down there, I better land." So I went to land, and I'll tell you, it was the best landing I ever made. I couldn't tell when I stopped flying and when I hit the ground. It was that smooth. So anyways, I kept flying till I was 15. Then Marty Marks and I went down for a medical, and I flunked the medical. I was colorblind. My brother Terry was on the Brampton radio station at that time. Him and John Gilbert, who used to have a big morning show on CHUM, Chum, every morning. And I would help Terry operate sometimes when he had too many things to do. And like we would do commercials and we'd have to tape them, and then we'd have to say he wanted a certain sound in, he'd bring another tape on top of that, and then he would, what do you call them? They're big records, transcriptions. They had thousands of them in a studio. And what a transcription did was it would give you a woman's footsteps in a hallway, a car screaming away. Every sound you could think of, it was on those. So we picked the one that he wanted. I had to set that up. And then when Terry started, I would do all the changing over to different tapes, transcriptions, and all that. Well, then John Gilbert came by. This was my funniest part. And he thumped like he was going downstairs. And he just kept going, his head kept going down, no. And Terry started laughing, so he had to set everything up again and start again. And then Gilbert we could see in the next window, in the next studio, and he pulls out a glass of water, strips down to his underwear. We were the only three in the studio, and puts his glass of water on the table, and he goes like he's gonna dive into it. And Terry said, "Gilbert, will you get the hell out of here?" I found it the best time of my life. I took them out, I played with them. Let me see, there's Paula, Marty, Mike, Andrew, Jamie, then Jenny, and then Nathan. And they all played sports, and they all got into music. Marty played drums. Later on, Nate did too, and played guitar, and Andy played guitar. But Andy's kind of shy. He doesn't like to get out and do it in public. He does it the odd time at a special party where he knows people. Yeah, Paula, she was the best. When I was separated, but Paula, and I guess Marty too, were very kind and very generous, and Paula, when I was separated, would phone me up almost every Sunday. "Dad, come on over for supper." Nobody else did, but Paula did all the time. And Marty, he was he was just nice, and he wasn't as devilish as the other boys. Mike was a little bugger, and always doing something, but nobody, Mike would not let anybody touch our kids in school. And if anybody bothered any of our kids, Mike would step in, and that was the end of that. This is V3WN. Is anybody around? Well, I managed their stores for 18 years and worked with them for 22 years. 4 years before I became manager. I worked different departments. But I was home, I had Mondays off, and I was home, and I was reading an insurance policy in the radio room, and I wanted something strong to have in the background there, so I picked up this station. I started reading again, and I thought, what the heck are they talking about? So I started taping it. And they were talking about getting French President Mitterrand in the Parliament buildings in Ottawa, and that somebody in the cafeteria would let them in. So I listened to the tape, then I phoned the RCMP in Kitchener and told them. And now, this was before Mitterrand was elected. He was going around kind of on a goodwill tour to get the world to like him, also to back him up. So anyways, he was elected the next year. But so the Mounties, I phoned them. They said, "What's the tape in regard to?" And I said, "French President Mitterrand going to Ottawa today." "You still have it?" Yeah. It just happened. And within 20 minutes, there were two Mounties at my house in suits, and they listened to the tape. And then they said, "Can we use your phone?" And he come back and he says, "We just put 14 men on the cafeteria of the Parliament buildings, and there was some scattered around, and they made an appointment or a schedule this couple. Oh, then the sergeant phoned me from Kitchener. Said, Paul, the girl is a legal ham operator in Quebec City. The guy is bootlegging out of New Jersey. Now, bootlegging is you don't have a license, eh? And, but anyways, they made a schedule for 2 o'clock that afternoon on a different band to see what happened. And they, 10 minutes before I was going to tune it in, the Mountie phone says, Paul, can you tape that for me? He says, there's something going down and I'm involved in it and I can't make it over. So I did that, and that started 6 months of making tapes, them coming over and getting them either at home or in the store. I would leave the store sometimes at 3 in the afternoon or at 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, anytime they made a schedule. I'd be there, tape it, tell the Mounties I had a tape, and this went on for 6 months. But the best thing, the funniest thing in this whole thing, where I got some satisfaction, was our supervisor at Zers was a fairly young guy, I'd say in his early, mid-30s. And he, I saw the Mounties come in my one-way mirror, and they knocked on my door, and I said, come on in. I knew who it was, and I said, John, would you excuse us, please? He looked at me like, who in the heck are these guys? So he left the office, and we were talking about 20 minutes. And then I said, okay, guys, come on, tell me what's going on. What happened? He says, Paul, I can't tell you. He says, but think of the word possibility. The possibility of an international situation was avoided. And so thank you very much. So the supervisor came back in, and nobody liked this guy, eh? We called him white gloves. He'd have the store in perfect shape, and he'd, what's this dust up here, So anyways, he looked at me and he says, who are they? And I said, RCMP. What they want? I'm sorry, John, I can't tell you. I could have told him. Oh, okay, my next big thing that I got interested in was when I was 15. My brother Terry took me down to the Brand Inn to see the Buddy Morrow Orchestra. And then the next one was Count Basie. And I saw the Glenn Miller Band 18 times. I saw Count Basie 18 times. In fact, an interesting thing was just over in Cambridge, they had a place called Leisure Lodge. It was a dance hall and probably a restaurant too. And when there was a break, about a 20-minute, 15-minute break, all these people went in, a lot of them went into this next room where there was kind of a rock band playing, and the rest of them went out the back for a smoke. Well, I went out for a smoke, and I thought I would come back in and go see what's going on the other side. And there's a guy sitting at a table eating a fruit cocktail with Jell-O in one of those ice cream things, Sunday things, and it was Count Basie. We were the only two in the room. So I went over, shook his hand, and I didn't talk to him about music. I figured everybody talks to him about music, So we talked about family, why his wife lived down in Bermuda, and he says, well, it's close. And he says, if I'm in New York, just as bad to get to Bermuda as it is to go to California. He said, so no matter where I am in the States, it takes a while to get down there, except maybe Florida, he says. And then we talked, and then I just asked him about a drummer. And Count Basie never said anything bad about anybody. And the reason he gave was, if I say something nasty about somebody, and one day I step off the bus, and there's his granddaughter, what am I going to say to her? So anyways, he says, I said, Sonny, he had this fantastic drummer called Sonny Payne. I said, what happened to Sonny Payne? He says, well, he says, when somebody has been with the band a long time, and Sonny played drums, so it would have been easy for him to do this if Basie wasn't such a strong person. He says, sometimes when somebody's been with the band a long time, they think they're the leader. And that's all he said. He didn't say anything. I saw Stan Kenton 30 times. I saw Louis Armstrong. I saw Woody Herman 4 times. I saw Duke Ellington 4 times. I saw Les Elgart's band. I saw Les Brown's band. The one that used to go around with Bob Hope to the different wars, you know. I saw Lionel Hampton. All the different bands. Lionel Hampton, he was good. Don't worry, folks, we're going to play till 5 o'clock in the morning.
You've talked out both my batteries. But I do want to see if I can get a quick question in. Are you proud or happy about the life you've had?
Yeah, oh yeah. I did what I wanted. I enjoyed what I did. I enjoyed the flying, I enjoyed the bands. And I believe you get happiness from following Christ and doing what He wants you to do, trusting Him, and following your conscience and helping. They would play my favorite Kenton number. Here's That Rainy Day.
Can you sing a bit for me? How does it go?
Oh goodness. Da 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 da. Something like that. On the we didn't go to the grass. We were on
Grandpa,
the taxi strip.
do you hear that?
What?
It's 8:33.
Is it
Your alarm's
8:33?
going off again. For whatever
Okay, good.
reason, his alarm goes off at 8:33, and we don't know why. He just said it by accident.
It just accidentally. Okay. Hey, Captain.